Hello, YouTube. Today I am going to be talking about Carl Jung and his essay, The Development of Personality. Now, personality isn't to be understood like most people understand personality, right? It's not this, I am, charismatic, or I am, extroverted or introverted, and that's my personality. That's not what Jung means at all. He means the ability to break away from the mass-mindedness and conventions and the ability to think new thoughts and be a new person in the face of the relativizing and uniform tendency of mankind, right? Most people live to copy others. They're imitative. They do what other people do. For Jung, the personality, the rise of personality is unique and really a rare phenomenon in the history of humanity. You have a few figures like Jesus and Buddha who are, the epitome of personality. They broke away from tradition. They broke away from mass-mindedness, and they follow the law of their own being, which is what Jung talks about. So let me read these quotes and we'll get into it after that. They towered up like mountain peaks above the mass that still clung to its collective fears, its beliefs, laws, and systems, and boldly chose their own way. To the man in the street, it had always seemed miraculous that anyone should turn aside from the beaten track with its known destinations and strike out on the steep and narrow path leading into the unknown. Hence, it was always believed that such a man, if not actually crazy, was possessed by a daemon or a god. So this is what Jung talks about, right? This almost supernatural energy that flows from a person with personality. And let me read this next quote. What is it in the end that induces man to go his own way, to rise out of the unconscious identity with the mass as out of a swathing mist? It is what is commonly called vocation, an irrational factor that destines a man to emancipate himself from the herd and from its well-worn paths. But vocation acts like a law of God from which there is no escape. The fact that many a man who goes his own way ends in ruin means nothing to one who has a vocation. He must obey his own law. So that's what Jung essentially talks about, is the willingness to obey the law of your being. And let's relate this to history. The gigantic catastrophes that threaten us today are not elemental happenings or a physical, biological order, but psychic events. To a quite terrifying degree, we are threatened by wars and revolutions which are nothing other than psychic epidemics. As at any moment, several millions of human beings may be smitten with a new madness, and then we shall have another world war or devastating revolution. So this is what a personality is called to guard against, right? He is here to lead the unconscious masses out of this. It's a revolutionary act to become a personality, to go your own ways, to think your own thoughts, and to do your own thing. So this is the nature of personality. And here's the next quote. It is a very different thing when the psyche, as an objective fact, hard as granite and heavy as lead, confronts a man as an inner experience and addresses him in an audible voice, saying, "This is what will and must be." Then he feels himself called, just as the group does when there's a war on or a revolution or any other madness. It is not for nothing that our age calls for the Redeemer personality, for one who can emancipate himself from the inescapable grip of the collective and save at least his own soul, who lights a beacon of hope for others. So this is the nature of personality, someone who rises up and essentially he is called by the archetypal self, by the deepest yearnings of the unconscious psyche, right? The man who's called to personality doesn't really have control over this psychic happening, but he does do what he's meant to do. So, that's what I wanted to talk about. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope this inspires you to be a personality and really think about how you can differentiate yourself from the unconscious herd, and how all of this political polarization and war can be mitigated by the Redeemer personality, someone who calls for the right values in society. And if you connect this to history, Arnold Toynbee says that the personality is the one who keeps civilization flourishing. Without religion, without a spiritual core to socially unite the internal order of a civilization, disintegration is the inevitable result. So thank you so much. Have a good one.